Hey Fruit Faces, it is Claryberry here. I apologize, there's been a few of you guys asking for certain videos and I keep saying I'm going to do them and then they never get done. So this week I really am focusing on it despite all the other things that I have to do. And the first one I'm going to start with is one that was requested quite some time ago, and this was a video on the zero carb movement. Oh man, this is just something that I have to speak out about. I'm glad that they brought this up. I've talked about low carb diets before, but I haven't really spoken on zero carb diets. There really are people who are attempting to do a zero carb diet. Some of these people literally eating zero carbs. And of course, the only way you can do that is by eating basically just meat. That sounds crazy to most people. You know, most people are like, hello, where's your nutrients? Where's your fiber? Is this even possible? Well, this one lady that I found has been on the diet for years. So yeah, she's eating basically hamburgers only at this point. She'll add bacon fat to her burgers, which she eats just plain, no vegetables, no sweets, no nothing. For a treat, she might give herself an omelet with cheese or chicken wings, okay? They claim that if you eat any sweets or carbs whatsoever, that it'll make you crave them. And they basically believe that any kind of carbs are going to raise your blood sugar, and that is what a lot of people think as a simple answer, but it's really not the real deal. Now, what happens is that people go on these diets and they crash and burn. Most people get off of them because it just doesn't work. And it's just insane to me. I mean, anybody with half a brain knows that you need different fruits and vegetables to prevent metabolic syndrome, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, cancer, etc., etc., etc. But these people are telling themselves that they're insulin resistant, which is total BS. I'll talk about that a little bit later. They may be insulin resistant, but eating meat isn't going to help with that because, again, we'll talk about that later. I don't want to get too much out of order here. They say that they still poop. They say that although they may go to the bathroom less often, that the meat and the fat are actually digested more efficiently, and so there's far less waste left behind, and that's why they're pooping less, because their digestion is working more efficiently. And this just doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because digestion of meat is some of the most difficult things, and it takes the longest and the most energy for our body to actually break these things down. So these people will claim that they are feeling great. They will actually sometimes be able to lose weight. If they're overweight, you may find that just simply cutting out sugars and different things will actually help them lose a certain amount of weight. So they see that they're slimmer. They may even find that their cholesterol and other blood work is actually better than it was before. And again, there's different reasons for this, and this can become quite a concern for people who are automatically thinking this is going to be an unhealthy diet. And at first, I have to say, I did the same thing. I'm like, how is this even possible? Well, they're not just all lying. It actually is possible. And basically, your cholesterol and your blood pressure and your blood lipids, again, especially if you're overweight, they can go down. Your blood work can get a little bit better on this, even your cholesterol, because it does go down when you lose weight, no matter how you lose it. If you're losing weight by cocaine or any kind of illness, it's still going to help your cholesterol. So that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a healthy diet or it's good for longevity or anything else. Again, you can compare something to the worst thing in the world, and just because it's a little bit better, it doesn't mean it's the best, or it doesn't mean it's good. Most people who go on this, they get dizzy. You can look this stuff up widely across forums and across the internet. They get nauseous, they get migraines, they start to feel really weird, like they're having hypoglycemic episodes, shaky, they get stomach aches. They just feel really weird, and they feel like they have pancreatitis, or a lot of people who had pancreatic symptoms before or diseases before will get those back. Basically, people just crash and burn. They hit the wall, they have no energy. And again, it's not just about digestion, it really goes a lot deeper than that. So first of all, anybody, again, with half a brain is going to know that there's not enough nutrients in red meat. Even though people think that it is nutrient dense it is not enough nutrients to sustain a person long term. And you know, it's funny, people who are claiming that this diet works so well will sit there and claim that their nails are better, claim that their hair is growing better and everything else. And again, they could be improving short term if their diet was so horrible before. And a lot of times you'll see this, an obese person is losing a little bit of weight and saying, I feel so much better, yada, yada, yada. Well, you're having a short-term effect of taking out these processed junk foods that you're not eating anymore. So that's going to help you. And a lot of times the weight loss that they're experiencing is just water weight in the beginning. Or again, it could be from this lack of processed food. And these people are still eating regular burgers, which I think it's funny because they're not eating the bun or anything else, but actually a lot of these fast food burgers have a lot of TVP and different things in them, which are not just meat either. So again, where's the fiber? Fiber helps with a lot of things, and they're just actually finding new discoveries about how important fiber is. Anybody who's eating this high of meat, especially on a true zero carb diet, they're claiming they're not eating any vegetables at all. I mean, can you imagine the pure monotony of this diet? Just very few people can do it. Like I said, if not from the side effects, then just because it's so difficult. In fact, Harvard did a study and found that only 78% of low carb dieters are actually able to stick with it over the long term, as opposed to 90% of those on a high carb diet still going strong. So let's take a closer look at this weight loss. Again, different people are going to have different reactions, and there is such a thing as getting adapted to a diet like this. However, again, that doesn't mean that it's healthy. 68% of low carbers noticed bloating compared to 30 to 35% of high carb and regular dieters. That was the National Institute of Digestive Diseases study there. Again, you can look all of the stuff up online. Fiber and starch, they are hunger stoppers, okay? They are helping us to stay full, and we're getting less calories when eating stuff like that. The low carb diets, and especially no carb diets, have a huge result on our hormones, and it really damages your metabolism, and it makes your body to where you won't burn fat efficiently or at all. In as little as a week, your metabolism will slow down and destroy the fat burning process and the fat burning hormones. Not only that, but your workouts will suffer, especially in the beginning until you get adapted, which can take up to 6 months or so. You don't have any carbs in your system. Your muscles are actually going to use the fatty acids from your fat stores first and amino acids, and then go into the muscles themselves and take out those tissues. So you will fatigue much faster. You will have half the endurance as people who are eating adequate type of carbs. And you know, cardio is not just necessary for weight loss. Cardio is necessary for good health. So very, very important to be able to get your cardio in and to have that energy to get your exercise in. Now, one of the reasons that people are losing weight on this diet is because they're just restricting calories. Even if they're not saying, oh, look, only eat this many calories a day. I mean, let's face it, how much of a certain single type of food can you actually consume in any one day? So the weight returns. Not only when you go back to eating a regular diet with carbs, but the New England Journal of Medicine found that they compared the low carb with the higher carb. And the low carb, of course, won at about 6 months, but at the year, there was no difference in the two, and the weight came back. And again, a lot of the beginning weight loss is just going to be water weight. And people underestimate, if you're obese or very overweight, you can have a lot more water weight than you think. So Jonah Hill is a really good example of this. Happy Healthy Vegan's done a couple of videos on the low carb and zero carb movement. And Jonah Hill is an example of somebody who went on this zero carb diet, and then over the next few years, he gained a lot of weight, couldn't control his binging, and just started eating everything in sight. So in addition to your lack of being able to work out and just feeling crappy in general, the brain function is one of the main things that's going to be affected here. Your brain cannot use fatty acids and amino acids like your muscles can. They don't have that backup plan. So your brain needs that blood sugar in order to operate. It can't store energy at all, and it requires double the amount of carbs that other cells actually require. So going on a no carb or even low carb diet is going to slow your processing of auditory and visual information, delays thinking. It can affect your long-term memory. There was a study in the journal called Appetite in 2009 where low carbers had horrible scores on memory performance tests until they brought those carbs back. So this can affect almost every area of your life, your work, your social life, your family life, everything. Most of the places you'll see there's a minimum of 130 or 150 grams for optimal health and for brain health in specifics. And again, there's a lot of problems associated with having too little carbs. So the Institute of Medicine of National Academy of Sciences says we need 130 grams of carbs per day for brain function, and that is the minimum. Now, one of the reasons for this is that cortisol is greatly affected by low carb diets. What are you doing, Rockstar? Cortisol deals with a lot of different things. It has to do with stress, and it also, having too much cortisol will actually boost your appetite and lead to binging. So this is kind of something where your brain is tied in with the weight loss. Rocky, stop! And cortisol increases, like I said, on a low carb diet. So the low carb diets can make people who have problems even worse. So if this day and age, Rocky, stop! Stop it. Most people in this day and age are having problems with stress, having problems with poor diet, inadequate sleep, etc. So eating a low carb diet is going to exacerbate all of these problems, cause higher stress. Rocky, stop! Higher stress, all these different more mood problems that can also affect your weight and everything else. An Australian study found that, from the Archives of Internal Medicine, found that carb eaters are happier, calmer, and more focused, because carbs, again, boost mood-regulating substances like cortisol and other stress-reducing chemicals. And fatty protein foods deplete them. So that is a problem. So again, there are lots of studies done on this. This is not just even new studies. This is old studies. There was a study done in 1946 on Canadian Arctic troops where in 3 days they were unable to complete their assigned tasks on eating a just meat diet. You just have limited utility for fuel and for high intensity exercise, and you are definitely physically and mentally impaired. So there was a study in 1980 by Phinney, Phinney. It was a longer study. He noted that your performance goes down in the first 6 weeks, and after that, goes down in the first week, and then after about 6 weeks, your performance can actually recover. But again, who wants to wait 6 long weeks to be returned to normal when you could start eating high carb, low fat vegan and feel great almost immediately, besides the small detox symptoms?